deal with our own human condition.
And the concept of the sleep and awake is something that is very relevant for me right now. And I have 3 grown sons, and when they were younger, in raising them, I was asleep. And I think that now that they're grown, I'm learning about the impact of being asleep in raising them.
Yeah.
And I think there's great, comfort and weight for me to have to, with the feelings that I have, the guilt and the shame and the anger. I wasn't a horrible parent, but I still was asleep, and it still impacted these 3 men that I love more than anything on earth. And so how do I reconcile that? And some of how I do is by realizing that I was asleep, and if I were in that situation now making those decisions, they would be very, very different.
Right.
But that is what it is. And so I'm not looking for excuses for myself. I'm not looking for that, but it is truth that I didn't see it in the moment. And as a parent, that means a lot to me right now.
Yeah. Well, and I have an interesting relationship with my mother, who I felt for a long time was super unskillful when I was growing up. And I have reconciled that and forgiven that, for whatever you take that as, that she was doing the best that she could with what she understood in that moment, in that time. And we do learn. Like, none of us come out of the box with all the answers. We have to continue to learn. We observe behavior that was good and observe behavior that was bad in ourselves and others. And we make course corrections by that. This is what we mean by middle path. Here's the extreme of bad, here's the extreme of good, and somewhere in the middle is the balance of that. So as we learn that bad wasn't exactly where we thought it was, bad's actually over here, and now we have that gap of awareness between here and here. And it's the same on the other side. As we learn to be peaceful and we learn to be more at ease and in our joy and in our understanding, that those roads widen, the path widens. Yeah? By our observation. And our observation happens in awareness. Yeah?
So you're saying the middle path is where we really want to be? Isn't that an expectation?
It's an intention. Again, it's an intention.
So an expectation and intention are similar.
I think intention for me means that I'm doing my best in this moment with what I have, and I'm letting go of the expectation that I can control the outcome of it. Because I can, in this moment, have the best intention that all beings are free from suffering. But does that mean that all beings are free from suffering? I hope that my actions help that. I hope that my being, my citizenship in this human nature, in this human body, that affects in a positive way, but I have no control over whether it does or not. So if I have the expectation that I have control over it by my action, is where I'm going to be disappointed. So intention for me is sort of putting it out there and setting it free. And stop trying to control it. And trying to control other people. Because you know the only control you have is of your own reaction.
A great expectation or expectation is something you assume is going to happen. You expect, whatever, this is what the outcome is going to be. The intention is what you're trying to do with those.
Right.
You expect the outcome is going to be. I think that's what it's kind of saying. I intend to do whatever, but I can't expect that it's going to turn out the way I think it's what it should turn out.
Right.
Whatever. Maybe small angry things.
Think about it like growing something. You can plant the seeds, right? You can pull out all the weeds, and you can put some fertilizer or something in the soil, and you can water. You can get a plant even, but does that mean that it will produce fruit?
Depends on what you plant.
Depends on what you plant. Well, or whatever. Will it produce a plant? If I plant that seed and I cultivate the ground and I give it sunlight and water, will it produce a plant? Definitively? No. Why? Why might not the seed grow? Because why? Okay, so if we put out that seed of intention and it doesn't grow, it's for a variety of reasons.
But if you replicate the climate in which it's supposed to grow in,
Then we put our best intention and we've enabled the best environment. We've cultivated but not guaranteed a plant. Bad seed, bug ate seed, bird ate seed,
well,
seed gone.
yeah.
No plant, no guarantees,
Ground's too hard.
no guarantees,
Too wet.
crappy soil, too hot, too cold. Variety of reasons that things don't manifest as we intend them to. So if we have expectation that every seed grows into a beautiful bloom, is that realistic? That's why I don't like that expectation thing. Could you go a week without having expectations?
Well, could you?
I don't know that I have all that many expectations. Honestly, I don't feel like I do. I mean, I intend to cook dinner, and sometimes it comes out really badly, and I throw it in the trash.
But you still expected something of yourself and the world around you.
I intend for something about myself.
You what?
I intend for something.
I guess we're using different words.
Because I think of the connotation of that you're expecting an outcome. I'm expecting if I do this, this, and this, that I will get this, right?
Well, I can't go into a classroom with just good intention. Seriously. I mean, I think that I have to have expectations of myself.
I think you do. But what is the difference? So what's the difference though? Like, So if you go in with the best intention that you're gonna be the best teacher today,
That's not gonna cut it.
then what is gonna cut it? Controlling it?
It's a
Controlling that
combination of things.
that
It's a
little
combination.
Sally Sue over here learns exactly what you say?
It's a combination.
What's the expectation? What is the expectation when you walk in there? That you are going to succeed in what way?
That the kids become to each other.
That they're all gonna be kind to each other? How does that work out?
Well, in study groundwork, it pretty much does.
It always works?
You have moments when it doesn't.
Oh,
You address those
really?
moments.
Huh. So in that moment that it didn't make it, what happens? You beat up on yourself and I didn't do the right thing, I didn't have the right expectation?
Yeah.
So what's the difference then? That you're disappointed when you don't get what you think you wanted. And disappointment is what? Suffering. So if I put my intention out and just set it free, what happens happens because it's going to happen. I put seed in ground, I put water on, plant come, plant not come, okay? Or it comes and it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, right? But does that mean that I did not succeed?
No, I don't do that.
Therein lies the difference. Are you seeing where it's a subtle thing, I think, between expectation and intention. I think it's subtle, but I think it's your expectation and the reaction that potentially comes from that disappointment that I had the expectation that other people were going to do what I wanted them to do and they didn't. Rather than course correct and how do we intend for this moment to change? So maybe there was a conflict and the kids weren't being kind to each other. How do you course correct? And be aware that someone was maybe suffering. Maybe someone was just unconscious and they were mean to somebody else, and you can correct that with kindness.
Maybe what I was really intending to say is that I can't go into a classroom with just good intentions.
Sure you can.
There have to be. Okay.
You can go with a really good plan
Yeah.
and good intention. It's the expectation. So it's that, do you see that part of the expectation? Because you're placing an expectation and it's not always coming out the way you want it to be. So are you finding dissatisfaction in that?
No, I'm not trying to be antagonistic, really not. Even though it may sound like it. It's just reconciling, trying to figure that out in terms of living your everyday life.
Yeah.
And taking these prayers to heart, and seriously. If they're important.
They are important, but if they're intentional. Intention, not expectational. Yeah.
I think that this is a discussion that we're having in our heads, but really reconciling in our hearts.
I know, I get it. And it comes from sitting with it and continually, like, you have to cultivate that understanding. Why am I resistant to this part? Why are you resistant about giving up an expectation that you have control? That's your work to do. There's your practice.
And you've been dying to say that to me for a long time.
But that is your practice.
Yeah, probably so.
The thing that irritates you the most is your practice. That is what to focus on.
One thing that helps me a lot with this subject, and you're right, it's very simple, being intention and expectation, is I try to work on not being control freak.
the way that I see it to be. And then when it doesn't happen, then there's always disappointment, sometimes it's the self-denigration, I failed, etc.
Right.
Why can't this person see what I believe in this and whatever? But then I realized it's okay if I want to continue to be intentional the way that I am, because I have no control over the outcome. And so I learned that that was always like my kind of projection of view or focus was the outcome and how it should be.
Right.
And then I learned to not be attached to the outcome.
Yes.
And that set me free.
Yes.
So that's something I still say, you just don't get attached to the outcome.
Right.
I don't know if that helps.
It does help. And I've had that similar mantra because I tended to be a control freak.
I was suffering because of it
Yeah.
until I got that really.
But we don't realize we're suffering with it until we really explore it and pull it apart. And I know we're way over on time, but I've talked about, my agitation in traffic, like how I would get road rage. Someone would cut me off and I'd instantly, my temper would flare up and I would be on fire, pissed off, hanging out the window, telling you everything about you and your mother. I'm not kidding. It was, talk about unskillful. And as I started to pluck that apart, I understood that I have all kinds of fear in situations like that. I feel unsafe when someone cuts me off, or I see someone doing something unskillful and they're driving 1,000,000 miles an hour and they're doing this, and it makes me feel so unsafe. And as I plucked that apart, I understood and realized I had a nasty bus accident when I was in high school that I completely have suppressed. And the tragedy and everything that happened in that moment, all of the fear comes out in that moment in the car. But I understand that now, and I can be compassionate towards myself that I'm having that reaction because of something that I learned in my experience, which makes the outcome different, which makes my reaction different. I'm not going to hang out the window. But instead I'm going to nurture and realize that that's fear. I feel fear. And take care of here rather than lashing out there. Yeah? Sorry, not sorry that we went over, because this was a really great discussion. So let's dedicate all this merit with our bodhicitta dedication and then eat some cookies. May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion unstoppably until all are illumined and awakened. May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion unstoppably until all are illumined and awakened. May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion unstoppably until all are illumined and awakened. Body, speech, and mind directed toward awakening, and for the benefit of all Buddhas, awake or asleep. Thanks, Buddhas.
Cookies I had.
I know that. I'm so happy.
Well, I find out ahead of time that it's going on the side.